Long time no see. Did some rearranging. I got a new figure, Red Ranger, and I got Curie Red back there. I don't know if I said I got him or not. But I've done some rearranging. I've just needed another little break from doing all this stuff because semester wore me out. Then I was finally able to catch up and get some things done that I've been meaning to get done for a long time. So I'm just now in the mood to get back to doing this. So I know where I left off was at Wild Force, and I still have like what 5, 6 different Power Ranger seasons left to do. But seeing how it's summer, and one of the main things about summer is movie season. And if you can see from back there, and what I got right here, da-da, that alongside being a Sentai and Power Rangers guy, I'm a big comic guy too. But when it comes to comics specifically, it's mostly Marvel. I've got nothing against DC, it's just I've always preferred Marvel's group of characters and the universe they've built over DC's because it's always been more interesting to me. But to be even more specific, and this, I'm Spidey. I mean, even look at my icon down here. It's Spidey's been my guy since I was a little kid. He's always been the hero that I've had a big attachment to. So I decided, for now, to kind of put the Power Rangers thing on hold, and I keep changing my schedule. But let me change my attention to something else that I like. There's a lot of good comic cartoons out there. There's a lot of good comic movies out there. And I thought, seeing how it's the summertime, and we're kind of in the middle of the movie craze for the summer. There have already been a few big comic movies that have come out this year, and still one to come, that being Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm really looking forward to. I decided to start reviewing some comic movies for a little bit, because that's kind of what I'm into right now. So I decided to go ahead and do that. But my backstory with the comics goes back to when I was much younger. It was like one of the first interests I had, mostly because my dad has been a comic guy since like the mid to late 60s, back when, this comic hero thing was starting. All the characters were being shot out. Like Marvel's universe was beginning to be formed back then. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man were being born and everything. And it carried into when I was born in 91. And during that time period, there were a few comic shows that were on the air. The X-Men 90 show and Batman the Animated Series. Even to this day, those two comic shows hold up very well. And in my opinion, the Batman Animated Series is hands down the best comic cartoon of all time, if not the best cartoon ever made. It is such a fantastic show. And those are the two shows that got me into comics because I fell in love with those two shows even back when I was like 2, 3 years old. And then the Marvel Superhero Hour, I think that's what it was called. It was like a Saturday morning cartoon block hosted by Stan Lee. If you grew up in the 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It had the 90s Iron Man cartoon, the Fantastic Four cartoon, the X-Men, and then the 90s Spider-Man animated series. It was a really good block of TV. And at the time, I didn't know who that old man was. And then, when I started to get more into it, I was like, that's Stan Lee. And then I go back and think about it. I was like, Stan the Man Lee was the man that introduced me to Marvel. Like, literally, he was hosting this 2-hour block of comic shows. And I didn't know who it was until years later. And now I have to thank Stan Lee even more so because of that. Of course, Stan Lee's like one of the coolest human beings to ever live. I think a lot of people can agree with that. And if you hate Stan Lee, then you're not a person. You're just not. So I watched those shows, and it kind of went, some shows ended, There's a few weird ones that came up, like Avengers United They Stand, which was a terrible show. X-Men Evolution, which wasn't too bad. And then we got like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which were just fantastic, along with the Superman animated series and Batman Beyond, which formed the DC animated universe, which is one of the best, outside of the comics, one of the best universes in TV and movie that's ever been created for comic characters. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe is it's the closest thing Marvel's ever had to that. Which one do I think is better? I don't know. I'm a bit more biased towards Marvel, but that was hands down the best DC media ever, aside from the comics. Especially with what they're trying to do now with the movies. You flash forward to, was it 98 or 99? I can't remember what year it was exactly, or 2000. The movie craze began with the very first X-Men movie. I didn't see it in theaters, but then my dad brought it home on VHS one day and we watched it. I was like, well, this isn't too bad. And then X2 came out, and then, of course, me being me, they announced the first Spider-Man movie, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. I was excited for it, of course, and I was like jumping up and down like that day before, because it had come out that Friday, and I was still in 5th grade. I remember exactly when it came out. I was in 5th grade. Now I'm like 4 years into college. Man, that movie's older than I thought it was. And I just got out of school for the week, and I was excited to go see it, and I saw it, and I loved it. Now, granted, all these years later, my opinions on that movie changed, for better or for worse. And then, it just kept going from there. You got Spider-Man 2, X3, we don't talk about that movie. And then Batman Begins, which was okay. In my opinion, it was the best of the Nolan trilogy, but that's for a set of videos I'll be getting to later down the road. Because I want to talk about that trilogy, trust me. And then we got introduced to the Iron Man movie, which established the long-running cinematic universe with the Incredible Hulk, Cap, First Avenger, Thor, Avengers, which is, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it now because I'm going to get to this movie sooner or later. It's probably the best comic movie ever made up to this point. And then Cap 2, which was fantastic as well. And then after the abomination of Spider-Man 3, we got Amazing and Amazing 2, which I like a lot, and whatnot. Plus, you got like newer cartoons like Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which were prematurely canceled because they were both fantastic, and among other things. So, with I've been a fan of Power Rangers since Mighty Morphin. I've been a fan of Digimon since it started. I've been a fan of Sonic since late 90s or something. But comics was the first media, I guess that's the way you can put it, that I fell in love with, and it's been the one thing that I've held with me from beginning to end. Like I said, with Power Rangers, I dropped out of it after Time Force and whatnot, and Digimon has kind of been fluctuating because it takes like 5 years for them to make a new season. And Sonic, I came into that late. So comics has been the thing that's been stuck with me my entire life. So I hold a lot to it. So I look forward to as many of these movies as I can. I give as many of these animated series a chance as I can. I play as many of the games that come out for them as I feel are worth my attention. Like some of the Spider-Man games are pretty good. The Arkham series, the Batman Arkham series is, I don't think I need to say anything there. Um, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is my favorite comic game ever made. Sorry, Arkham City, I love you to death, but Ultimate Alliance is just that much better for me. Action RPG, great cast of characters. Look it up. It's a fairly old game. It came out in 06. It's on the Wii, 360, and PS3. If you haven't played it yet, check it out. I highly recommend that game, especially if you love action RPGs and Marvel. I love that game to death. I don't know how many times I've played through and beaten that game. It's so good. So, if it has like Spidey, Batman, Fantastic Four, Avengers, anything like that in it, it's gonna catch my attention just for that. And that's why I'm gonna start collecting this Marvel Legends line over here. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the Cap Marvel Now figure. These figures aren't that bad, actually. I mean, even when it comes to Spidey, like I said, I read just about every incarnation of him there is. Amazing. I've read a little bit of the Ultimate series. I would like to read more of it. And then I've got like this beautifulness, which is Spider-Man Noir. If you've played Shattered Dimensions, then you'll know who these two are. But Spider-Man Noir is basically what if the Marvel Universe or the characters that appeared in the 616 worlds. Marvel Universe 616, in case anybody doesn't know, is the main Marvel continuity that was established back in the early 30s with the introduction of Submariner, and that has been going ever since to now. But this is what happened if these characters were established in the 1930s during the Great Depression. In Spider-Man Noir, it was the first of the Noir books. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and I love it. I love this. I haven't read the second Noir arc, but this one is fantastic. If you're looking for something Spider-Man with a little bit of Batman in it, that's what this is. And then Spider-Man 2099. In the year 2099, there's this company called Alchemax, who's kind of like a corrupt business that's running everything into the ground, is trying to replicate Spider-Man's blood in like an attempt to recreate his powers and create a bunch of soldier Spider-Man type thing. Leading the charge is Miguel O'Hara, who quits the project because it's killed so many people. He gets tricked into being forced in the machine, and someone tries to kill him by using his own thing against him, but it backfires and actually gives him spider powers successfully. Now he uses his powers to try to take Alchemax down from the inside. I really, really dig it. It's an interesting approach to Spider-Man. He's a bit different than regular Spider-Man is too, because he has no spider sense. He has poisonous fangs and like little sharp talons on his fingers. So he's different. And plus he shoots webs out of the top of his wrist instead of with web shooters. They come out like out here. So he's a different interpretation of Spider-Man. That's actually really fun to read too. Among others like Spider-Man 1602 and Spider-Man India and the spectacular Spider-Ham, Peter Porker, if you know anything about him. Simpsons, that's not an original joke. There's actually a Spider Pig. It's been around since like the 70s or something. So, with all that being said, seeing how I don't own every movie of the cinematic universe yet on DVD for some reason, I'm going to need to get on that. I decided to go ahead and review my guy from the top, Spider-Man. Starting with the original 2002, I think it was 2002, Sam Raimi directed movie Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. So that's where I'm going to be starting with my superhero comic book hero extravaganza. And whenever I get done with that, I'll tackle something else. I might tackle the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, although I still need to get Rises. I don't particularly want to buy that movie, though. And then maybe the cinematic universe. But I'm only going to review movies that have been released on DVD, because I know like Cat 2 is still in theaters. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is still in theaters. Days of Future Past just went into theaters. And stuff like that. I'll wait until those come out on DVD before I review them. So yay! Don't worry, I'm still gonna do Power Rangers. I just wanted to talk about something else for now.